Everybody, what is going on? The catch. Fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. Hope everyone has had a fantastic start to the weekend. Hope you guys are doing just great. Okay. But more importantly, maybe more importantly, hope you guys are ready for week 8 of the 2024 fantasy football season because things are kicking off first thing in the morning. Got a full slate of NFL games on Sunday. Oops, sorry. And we got a Monday night game. So we already got Thursday night football in the books. And we got a lot to get into, per usual. A lot of changes. And man, just another tough week to prepare for. So you guys know what we need to do. Live fantasy Q&A, anything that you guys need. Starts, sits, ads, drops, waivers, trades, roster reviews, roster confidence. Where are you guys at? We're about to be essentially halfway through the season. So how your records looking? We got trade deadline in just a couple weeks. We've got the fantasy playoffs. I mean, like I said, they're not that far away. We need to start thinking about weeks, the weeks leading up to the fantasy playoffs, but also weeks 15, 16, and 17, start preparing for those as well. So, man, we're just at that point. So get in the live chat. Let me know what you guys need. Anything whatsoever. And let's get this thing going tonight. So I know that I'm way behind on YouTube comments for the week, so I apologize. I'm going to get to all YouTube comments on the videos by the end of tonight. My daughter has been sick for like 3 weeks straight. She is okay. She is fine. She's been cleared by the doctor. Everything's good there. And I've been off and on sick for like the past 3 weeks, and it's just been crazy, man. So sorry, I just been a little bit behind this week, and she had to go back to the doctor and all that stuff. So I'm sorry, guys, just been behind the past couple of weeks and have not been able to stream as much. So I apologize for that, guys. But I'm here. It's Saturday. Let's get it going. All right, let's look through the news for the week or for the past 24 hours or so. Tajay Spears is out for Sunday's game versus the Lions. I don't think anyone was planning on starting him, but I guess that's good news for Tony Pollard. Jonathan Brooks will not be playing this week. He has been downgraded to out. Dalvin Cook has been elevated from the practice squad, and he'll make his debut on Sunday Night Football against the Niners. So that is interesting. I still think Rico Dowdle is okay to start. I still think this is Rico Dowdle's backfield. Maybe we get some touches here to Dalvin Cook. Maybe he eats into Zeke's touches, but I still think they're primarily going to use Rico Dowdle. And just because a player has been elevated and is, set to make his debut doesn't mean he's going to get 20 touches. So we'll see what happens. But, I still think if you own Rico Dowdle, don't panic here. But, Dalvin Cook, not really in the most efficient offense by any stretch last year, but also not very efficient himself whatsoever. But then you also have like the factor that I don't know if the Jets were fully expecting Dalvin Cook to be ready, or Breece Hall to be ready as early as he was last year. Maybe Cook would have been used differently if so, but Cook looked pretty washed last year. So this is the Cowboys' big news, but we'll see how it plays out. All right, Kevin O'Connell, Vikings head coach, has said that TJ Hockenson has been activated to the 53-man roster in light of offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw headed to IR, which is a big loss for the Vikings, while they suffered a big loss to the Rams. Tyreek Hill is, of course, questionable this weekend, but I have a feeling he's going to play. Who knows if I'm right. Dallas Goedert is out tomorrow versus the Bengals. DK Metcalf is basically out. He's doubtful. He's probably not going to play. Jaden Daniels is a game-time decision. Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen both out. Adam Thielen, I don't know if he's been taken off of IR or not, but the Panthers injury list is like this long because nobody's going to go out there and risk further injury for this team at the moment. Bucky Irving will play tomorrow, barring any major setbacks between now and tomorrow. If you're a Bucky Irving owner, don't worry. Tua's going to be back. We know that. Jawan Jennings is out, but I do want to note the interesting thing with Jawan Jennings, which I was kind of recommending that you guys be like, I wanted to pick up Jawan Jennings for all the reasons that we should with Ayuk out and everything. But the bye week in week 9 for the Niners, and then I kept telling you guys, like, maybe don't go crazy on trying to pick up Jawan Jennings because he's got a hip injury and he might not play week 8. But now Jawan Jennings is out this week with a groin injury. So that's certainly not encouraging as he's already been nursing a hip injury. So the Niners really need this week 9 bye week. That's for sure. ETN is a game time decision tomorrow. Christian McCaffrey is a very good chance of playing in week 10. We shall see. All right, so that's about it. All the major stuff. And we'll just kind of get cracking here. So get in the live chat. Let me know what you guys need. Let's talk some fantasy football, boys and girls. Hit that like button while we're waiting here for me to get fully ready, which is going to take like 2 seconds. And let's have some fun. Let's talk some fantasy football, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Diego, what's up? What are your thoughts on D-Hop? I picked him up last week because I figured he would be traded. Andy Reid said he would be in Rashee Rice's role. I mean, that Rashee Rice role was basically what we saw out of Juju Smith-Schuster, a couple weeks ago against the Saints. So, I mean, yeah, someone's got to be in this role, right? I mean, Xavier Worthy does not play as this type of wide receiver. They're still going to utilize him, right? Justin Watson ain't. McCole Hardman ain't. Juju's still hurt. So, yeah, I think D-Hop is a good play, but I don't think his ceiling is crazy high. I mean, you never know with the Chiefs, right? And this, Raiders team does not look inspiring by any stretch. But believe it or not, the Raiders have been pretty good against opposing wide receivers on the season. And by pretty good, they're giving up the 9th fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So, I think D-Hop's fine. I mean, he's got to get kind of acclimated here, but, you just never know what you're going to get. Are you going to get, what we saw to Devontae Adams in his first game with the Jets, or are we going to get, what we saw with Amari Cooper, The thing that D-Hop can do is he makes these type of plays where he's able to separate himself, right, and make those catches. He's not, at this point in his career, he's not a fantastic route runner. He's not going to beat someone with his speed. He's just great at actually creating separation at the point of contact and making big plays off of that, So that is the type of wide receiver that will kind of thrive with Patrick Mahomes, where they're kind of drawing up plays in the middle of a play. Look at a lot of the success with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. That's what's happening. They're reading off of each other and reacting to the defense pre-snap and literally during the play. So listen, I think D-Hop, great pickup for the Chiefs and can certainly have a lot of success, but we want to go in here and be pretty cautious with this play. He's certainly startable. It's a big game for the Chiefs as they have not had a single divisional game on the season so far. So although they are 6-0, this game is just as important as if they were, 3-3 or whatever. So this is a big game here on the road against the Raiders, who recently have played pretty well against the Chiefs, beat them once last year. But man, I don't know. This Raiders team feels quite different than they did last year. So we shall see. But yeah, I think he's fine to play, but it might take a little bit of time to get going here. Kels, what's going on, man? If you plan to start Jake Ferguson, who'd you start in the flex? David Njoku, Jalen Warren, Roshan Pierce, bank on Troy Franklin. Yeah, quite frankly, I'd probably bank on Troy Franklin. I think he's a good start, a good flex play for kind of in a position where you don't have a lot of confidence in your options at flex. I think David Njoku's okay here, but I prefer to not flex a tight end, but he does have a great matchup. So if you want to go Njoku, I'm okay with that. I mean, he had 14 targets, 10 catches, 76 receiving yards, a touchdown, 23 fantasy points last week. So I'm good with going to Njoku. I mean, we talked a lot about Cade Otton last week just due to the matchup against the Ravens. They've been awful against opposing tight ends, giving up the 26 most fantasy points to the tight end position. So I think Njoku is perfectly okay here. I think he's probably the safest play. You want a little bit of upside, you can go Troy Franklin. Carolina giving up the 22nd most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. So I think Franklin's a nice floor play who could bring some upside. But the other thing with the sorry guys, I'm still sick, so I'm like super congested. But um, the other thing with the Panthers Broncos game is like we got Bryce Young played, we got Pat Surtain back. We got a Broncos team that ran the football all over the Saints this past week. I don't really know that this game script's going to be super competitive, and I don't know that the Broncos are necessarily going to have to throw the football a ton. So I think their defense and their run game is going to do a lot of the work, and Bo Nix is probably going to be able to run quite a bit in this matchup as well. So I'm still okay with starting Troy Franklin. I think he's a good flex play this week. I like Cortland Sutton this week too, but I might just go Njoku here. And I see your question at the bottom of the chat, Ferguson or Njoku. I mean, I think with these options, I probably do start Ferguson and Njoku. But, you know, if we break it down here, San Francisco giving up the 15th most fantasy points to the tight end position. Not as good of a matchup as the Ravens. But I think the Cowboys offense is going to have a good week this week. So I'm good with going both there. Andrea, good to see you. What's up? Ghost Hunter, what's going on? You like T and Tyreek's chances of playing? Yeah, I think everything looks good right now for both those guys to play. T Higgins dealing with that quad injury, listed as questionable. He did practice Friday, so that's a good sign that we're looking for. I mean, barring any setback between tonight tomorrow, he should play. Let's see. It looks like Mike McDaniel said that Tyreek Hill is probably going to play. I mean, you just got to think. Same thing with veteran running backs, veteran wide receivers, tight end, quarterbacks, all positions. Like when they're going to pop up on the injury report, and yeah, sometimes it's going to be serious, but also like, especially halfway through the season, like they're going to take some time here and there. So is Cook worth adding? In my opinion, no. No, I think you're wasting a roster spot. I mean, he could be, but it kind of depends, like who you dropping for him. My answer is no. I don't think so. Chat, are you guys out there adding Dalvin Cook? I mean, if anything, it's gonna be a committee backfield here. You know, I'm just not there. I'm not there. This run game for the Cowboys hasn't been great. Like the only reason that I like Rico Dowdle is getting involved in the pass game as well. Access was good, man. Flex 1 in full PPR. Dell Myers, Worthy, McMillan, Dowdle, Stevenson, Kraft. I'm going to go Dell here for sure. Dell should have a good bounce back game. I know last week, as disappointing as possible, but the Colts are 17th against opposing wide receivers. They got to apply that defensive pressure to Stephon Diggs. I'm going to go Tank Dell here. I think that the Texans have a nice bounce back week. They've been bad against the quarterback position, so I think Stroud is going to be good to go this week after also a bad week last week. But yeah, I'll go Dell. I do think Kraft is flexible this week. I think Dowdle's okay. I think you could start Worthy or Stevenson still, McMillan. You know, there's certainly lots of options, but I'm just going to go with Tank Dell here. Donnie, what's up? Thank you for listening in from work. Picked up Bateman off waivers, traded on the next day for D-Hop. Okay, I don't hate that. I mean, I like Bateman. We've been talking about him quite a bit, but I'll take the chance on picking up D-Hop here for sure. Andrew needs one. Brian Robinson, Adams, Brian Thomas Jr., and half PPR. I'm probably always starting Brian Thomas Jr. That's basically been my answer anytime his name has come up in the past couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'll stick with Brian Thomas Jr. here. I do like Brian Robinson. He's really another player that I probably start on a weekly basis. The Bears giving up the 14th most fantasy points to the position. And Devontae Adams, I mean, he could be in a nice spot here. The Patriots defense certainly does not scare me. But I just stick with Brian Thomas Jr. He's been the highest scoring fantasy player out of this bunch on the season. But I will say the Packers have been good against opposing wide receivers, and they've been better since Jair Alexander has come back healthy as well. So I just bear that in mind. But yeah, it's just hard for me to bench a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. He's been so good. I'll just stick with him. And I will say, like, I think guys like Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson Jr., Zach Ertz are still startable if Jaden Daniels does not play due to the rib injury. But I think their ceiling is definitely lowered against this Bears defense if Marcus Mariota is the starting quarterback. Lex, what's going on? Olave, yeah, Olave's going to play this week. I don't know how I feel about that. Hawkins, Keenan, Bucky, Pittman, Ladd. I'll go Bucky. I think we're going to get a good competitive game script between the Falcons and the Bucks. So I'll stick with Bucky Irving. And I mean, Keenan Allen's got the best matchup here. It's really close between Olave, Hopkins, Keenan Allen. I don't think I'm starting Olave if Spencer Rattler's a quarterback. And I think all indication is that Rattler's, Derek Carr is doubtful. And it kind of goes against his original timeline. He probably isn't going to be back till week 10, but I guess he could be back next week if he's doubtful for tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about Olave. I mean, the Chargers defense looked a little bit weaker than I thought they would against the Cardinals, but they're still giving up the fourth fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So I think I'm just staying away from Chris Olave this week. So I'd go Hopkins for a floor if you want more upside, but maybe more risk. Go Keenan Allen. But he's got the best matchup here. But like Keenan Allen just been super, super inconsistent so far to start the year. So we got to keep that in mind too. But coming off a big week in week 6 against Jacksonville. So, but you know, he had 5 catches off of 5 targets. Those 5 catches were a season high, and 2 of those catches were touchdowns. So, and it was against the Jags. Come on. So, yeah, for me, I'd probably go Hopkins and Bucky, but Pittman startable, Keenan startable too. Who'd be a good target in exchange for Jameson Williams? I probably wouldn't trade Jameson Williams because I just don't think you're going to get the right value. If you feel like you're getting good enough value for Jameson Williams, then sure. But I just hate selling a player like this while he's suspended, coming off of an awful game. When Jameson Williams is probably realistically going to have value once he's back from the 2-game suspension. So, and he's got some good matchups when he's back: Houston, Jacksonville, Indy, Chicago, Green Bay, a little bit tough, but Buffalo, tough. But like those are all good game scripts. Chicago again, San Fran. Like, I mean, this Lions team going to be right in the mix potentially for that number 1 seed. So all those games at least have good game scripts. But I just don't know that I trade them. I don't know that you're going to get the right return. But the thing with Jameson Williams, right, is even with the bum last week or goose egg, whatever. Apparently the bum is a term, but he's the wide receiver 21 in fantasy. So like look for somebody around that range. That's what you should get back. Smokey, what's up? Any over unders or TD parlays? I haven't really looked through, but I can give you some names. I guess I have kind of looked through. Let's see. I totally forgot to put anything down for Thursday night, and I wish I had. But just purely based off of matchup, Jordan Mason, Javonte Williams, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's like minus 325 right now. Saquon Barkley / Jalen Hurts, Kareem Hunt, Bijan, Dobbins, Connor, Jacobs, James Cook, and any of the Packers wide receivers, but that gets risky because I feel like all 4 guys could score. One of them could have 3 touchdowns, but they have a great matchup against the Jags. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, good matchup. Amari Cooper, good matchup. DJ Moore, Drake London, both Eagles wide receivers. Cortland Sutton, Tyreek Hill, and I would end it at that. So play that back really slowly and write down all those names. And those are the guys based on matchup I like the best this week. Katz is in the house. What's up, brother? Full PPR. Need to have A-Chain, Brian Thomas Jr., Dell, DJ Moore, JSN. I mean, obviously, very good options here. I'm still starting Brian Thomas Jr. on a weekly basis, and I probably start DJ Moore here just because the matchup And DJ Moore's just a tough player for me to bench. He got a little banged up against the Jags and didn't really do anything. But outside of that, double digits in every matchup thus far on the season. So I just stick with Brian Thomas Jr. and DJ Moore. But if there's one of these guys that you don't like, maybe go Devon Achane. I still like Achane a lot this week. So definitely good options here. Dalvin or Tillman as a stash. I'd probably stash Tillman. I'm just not there with Dalvin Cook. Let me know how you guys feel about Dalvin Cook, but I just don't think I'm there. I'd rather stash Tillman, more perceived upside. The Aaron Jones and Kmet for Scary Terry and Dowdle offer got accepted. I forgot about our long Aaron Jones discussion last week. I think it's a good trade for you. Might not be the best trade this week, like if Jaden Daniels is out, everyone's going to freak out about Dowdle and Dalvin Cook, but overall, I think this is a good trade. Hey, Aaron Jones did have a bad week, which I thought about that on Thursday. Should I start Tua, Baker, or Caleb? Asks Yucky Kicks. I mean, all these guys are close. There's going to be a very interesting game to watch in terms of Baker Mayfield this week, without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and what are McMillan and Shepard going to do? How many realistic balls can Cade Otton actually catch? And Rachaad White, I think Rachaad White's going to be a big part of the game plan, even with Bucky Irving healthy, just like last week. Although I know Rachaad White had a ton of points in overtime. Everyone hates Rachaad White, but kept telling you guys, don't forget about Rachaad White. If he's healthy, he will impact things here. So yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting in terms of Baker. Tua's got it. Tua's got a bad matchup. Miami is, Arizona's a great matchup. I'm sorry. I'm going backwards here. So Tua feels risky first game back. Like, I think he's like a safe, 15, 16, 17, 18 points, but he has the upside due to the matchup where he could score more. So it's certainly very interesting here. But I kind of feel like Caleb Williams is just a super safe play. I feel like I would start Caleb Williams here. Commanders are 19th against the position, and they've looked better, listen, I am a Commanders fan, and they have looked better, and Dan Quinn's got this unit humming, but it was the Panthers and the Browns. I know the Bears aren't top 5, top 10 offense, but they've looked much better. And sure, with the Bears, they've looked much better against poor defenses too. So, but yeah, I think I go Caleb. I do. This is a good one. We don't have a poll up for the week. Who ya starting in week 8? And guys, don't forget to hit the like. All right, so we got Tua versus Arizona. So let's see. Arizona comes in. I just had it in front of me. So yeah, Arizona's 28th against the position. And don't forget, even though they gave up a ton of fantasy points to Herbert last week, they still let Herbert throw the football all over the place for a season high. So the Chargers just were incapable of scoring touchdowns. But yeah, Atlanta is still 22nd against the quarterback position. And then, yeah, we got Washington 19th against the position. So it's definitely a close call. This is why I hate rostering this many quarterbacks. But we shall see. I think I go Caleb Williams. All right, poll questions up. Let us know. Which two QBs should I hold the rest of the season? Ask Cats. T-Law, Drake May, Geno, Anthony Richardson, Stafford, Nix, and a 6-point passing touchdown. I go Geno and Stafford would be my picks, but maybe if you like Drake May more than one or the other, you could. But the verdict's kind of out there. I feel like Drake May has a pretty difficult schedule coming up, or not a great one. He gets the Jets, the Titans, the Bears, the Rams, Miami. It's not great. It's not awful. He also has a week 14 bye. I think Drake May is definitely a good spot play, but yeah, I think I would want Geno and Stafford, and let's just hope that Stafford can at least stay at like a safe floor on a regular basis. I don't know if he's going to throw 4 touchdowns every game. Silver Rapture, Mahomes or Jordan Love this week? I go J-Lo. Yeah, I go J-Lo for sure. Jordan Love against the Jaguars should be an automatic start. Not even close. Mahomes is still a good matchup, but Mahomes not been great. Ferguson or Otton. I mean, I personally would probably still just start Ferguson. But Otton is a good play. Otton's a good play. We can't deny it. I feel like Otton's too obvious. Like, I've been talking about Cade Otton for weeks. Talked about him a ton going into last week, mainly due to the matchup, not because, a lot of his volume came because Mike Evans essentially didn't play the whole game. But Falcons are 19th against the position. I think he's a super safe play, but I still like Ferguson overall more. I know everyone's talking about Cade Otton now, but we'll see. We'll see. Both are good plays, though. Like, I think it's super close. I don't think you can really go wrong here. And I wouldn't overthink it when it comes to the tight end position as well. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Tommy, what we got here? PPR pick 3. We got Pop, Bateman, McMillan, Ladd, Debo if he plays. And D-Hop trade doesn't go through until Monday. Fair enough. So if it's me, I'm playing Debo if he plays. I just am. I'm rolling Debo if he's healthy, always. And then it's super close between the other 3. I feel like we talked about this a little bit in the comments. It's very, very close. I still think Jalen Tolbert's like a very solid play. But I think I'm leaning Bateman here. And then it's so close with McMillan. If Debo doesn't play, I go Tolbert, Bateman, McMillan. If Debo does play, I probably go to matchup. I guess I'll sit Tolbert. Niners 15th against the position. But I feel like McMillan is still slightly risky. If McMillan didn't have a good matchup this week, I wouldn't really be super keen on starting him just yet. But yeah, it's going to depend on if Debo plays or not for you, Bursky. Lamar or Bo Nix? Lamar. Love and Dobbs or Mahomes and Hopkins? Love and Dobbs. I mean, this week, Love and Dobbs against the Jags. Overall, probably still Love and Dobbs. Standard League, Najee or B-Rob? B-Rob, but Najee's looked good past 2 weeks. Where did the Giants come in against the position? 15th. I still stick B-Rob, but Najee's definitely startable. I'll go Kyler over Mahomes. I told you guys last week, too. Like, I think we probably still start Kyler even against Chargers defense, and it worked out. Armando, who on flex? Flowers, Dobbs, Pollard, Bigsby, Worthy. Yeah, very close. I'd probably start Flowers if he's healthy against Cleveland. Like, I'm not worried about this Cleveland defense, but they might come to play against the Ravens, and they got maybe a little bit of life with Jameis at quarterback. I'd probably still go Flowers. Cleveland has dropped the 28th against the wide receiver position, so they ain't scaring me. I know Flowers is basically a decoy last week. If you're worried about that, then I still think Pollard's a good start. I don't think there's really any reason. Like, I know he's coming off a bad game, but he was also a little banged up last week. So I don't mind going Pollard here. Let's see. I forgot Pollard has the Lions. And Dobbs got a great matchup. Okay. I'd probably go Flowers if he's healthy. Then Dobbs. I try to start one of those 2. You should be able to start either of those two. We want to start Packers wide receivers this week. A little bit of gamble with all of them. Olrak, we need 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. McLaurin, Waddle, D-Hop, Lockett, Kirk, Mason, Kenneth, JT, Singletary, ETN. Okie dokie. I'll go McLaurin and Waddle. McLaurin, I will say, if like Mariota plays, is a bad matchup against the Bears. Jalen Johnson is going to be locked on McLaurin all day long. So, but like you could go D-Hop there, but like I don't know if D-Hop's ceiling is super high this week either. So, then I would start 3 running backs. I go Mason, Kenneth, and JT. If JT's not healthy, you could go D-Hop, Waddle, McLaurin, but ideally, Jaden Daniels is playing. You start McLaurin anyways, due to even with the not so great matchup. Then you start Waddle in a good matchup with Tua back. Then you go Kenneth, JT, and Jordan Mason, who all have good enough matchups this week or good matchups. And if you don't want to start McLaurin, go D-Hop. If JT doesn't play, you could go McLaurin, Waddle, D-Hop, Mason, Kenneth. Pop-off game for Mason could be his last chance. It could be. It might be. But I'll say this much, and I've said this earlier in the season. I still believe that Jordan Mason will be involved even when Christian McCaffrey is back, at least initially. We shall see. Love Mahomes, Hopkins, Dobbs. Which 2 should I start? I'd start Love and Dobbs. Take that matchup. Better defense, Lions or Bengals for this week and long term. I mean, I don't personally really love either of these defenses long term. I think they're more spot plays than anything. So I would bear that in mind. But Cincinnati, I mean, I don't personally trust Cincinnati at all. They just played 3 quarterbacks for the Browns last week. So only time on the season they've had double digits. I don't I mean, they're the defense 24 in fantasy. So yeah, I have a tough time trusting them. Detroit's the defense 11, but they've been pretty spotty too, and they've only hit double digits once, and that was against Dallas. I would way rather start Detroit this week against Mason Rudolph and company, though. So I start the Lions this week, and then I guess overall I'd rather start the Lions in general, but I don't particularly trust them. Hopkins or Mooney? Hopkins is the floor. Mooney gives you some more upside. I mean, last time Mooney played the Bucks, he was pretty good. With Hopkins coming in, is Juju still worth holding? Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's enough volume to go around here. So I think so for sure. Any update on T? Yeah, it looks like T. Higgins is trending towards playing. He was able to practice yesterday, so that's the indication, but you never know when it comes to T. Higgins. If he doesn't play, I would flex Bucky. You could go Keenan Allen. I mean, he's got a good matchup, but I like Bucky the most out of these options. So. All right, never had it so good. We need a wide receiver, a running back, and a flex. B-Rob, Chuba, Bigsby, Devonta Adams, Mooney, Dobbs. So you got some options here. I'm probably sticking with Brian Robinson Jr. I'll take the matchup against the Bears. They moved up a little bit in rankings, and they had the bye week, but like that's because they played the Jags. Like, I'll still go Brian Robinson Jr. I think this is a week to be a little bit cautious when it comes to Chuba Hubbard. We got Bryce Young playing. He only hit double digits once when Bryce Young was quarterback, and I think he hit 10 points. 11.6 points against the Chargers. He didn't score in that game. He had 4 catches. And this is a bad matchup against the Broncos, who are giving up the 11th fewest fantasy points to the position. Off the top of my head, yeah, 11th. I'm correct. So I think if you're going to bench Chuba, this is the week to consider doing so. So I go Brian Robinson. I'm starting Devonta Smith every week. I get it. I know what happened last week, but I'm still starting him. Should be a good competitive game script. And I'll go Dobbs. Give me Dobbs in the flex against the Jags. Give me that upside. But I think Adams is startable for sure. I mean, everyone here is startable, but I prefer Brian Robinson, Devonta, and Dobbs. If you like Adams, that's okay too. Taylor Gang, what's up, man? Is Pearsall going to do good this week? I think he'll do good. Sure. I think he basically has to be involved. So it's kind of like McMillan. Like, he'll probably do fine, but it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen with those guys. But let's see. So Debo's questionable. I mean, I like Pearsall more if Debo's on the field personally. But the big one I want, Kittle uncertain for week 8 too. We know Jennings is out. I mean, there's a lot here. There's really going to be I mean, there's going to be more volume if Kittle and or Debo doesn't play, but I almost prefer Pearsall more if those guys are on the field. Less defensive pressure, so I think overall he'll do good. I'm not going out of my way to start him though. Jake Ferguson or David Njoku. I mean, retrospectively, I think I kind of prefer Njoku due to the matchup, but Ferguson's a guy I don't really care in terms of matchups. Like, I'll start him anyway, so it's very close. Albert, good to see you, bro. Broncos defense got to be a top 10 option this week. I mean, they should be overall, including wide receivers and running backs. Okay, I mean, yeah, I was about to say they should be the number 1 defensive option. I think they're the defense 2. I think going in the week, Minnesota was still the defense 1 going into the week. Obviously, they'll drop. So Broncos are the defense 2. They put up 22 points last week. I don't see why. I mean, Deontay Johnson's out. Bryce Young starting at quarterback. Yeah. Olrak, my other league, full PPR. I need 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Cooper, McLaurin, Mooney, Pittman, Kirk, Ladd, Kenneth, Pollard, Etienne, Chase Brown. Give me Amari Cooper and Terry McLaurin. Give me Kenneth Walker and Chase Brown. And then the flex, give me Pittman. You could go Mooney, Pittman or Mooney, whoever you like better. Go center, happy PPR. If Hill and T don't play, who should I play? A flex and wide receiver, Allen, Adunze, Doodle, Bigsby, Chubb. I'll probably go Keenan Allen. Like, just give me the upside. Give me the matchup. And I'll start Dowdle. Just give me Dowdle. But Bigsby definitely startable as well if you want to go Bigsby. Chubb is okay, too. Okay. In another league, I'm worried Higgins not playing. Others are Coleman, Shepard, or Tillman. I definitely go Keon Coleman. Just give me the upside here. Kamara or A-Chain. Due to matchup, give me A-Chain. Ooh. Are we benching Kamara? I don't know if we can bench Kamara. He's playing. It's a tough matchup against the Chargers, although they didn't play great last week. I mean, James Conner had a good day against them. The Chargers are giving up the second fewest fantasy points to opposing running backs, right behind the Chiefs. Ooh. Chat, are we benching Kamara this week with Rattler at quarterback? I mean, Kamara had 8.4 fantasy points against Denver. This matchup is worse, and they're on the road. Olave's back, though, if that helps anything here. Olave's probably going to get, I don't know. Olave's got a tough matchup, too. A-Chain's got the better matchup. Man, we need Derek Carr back. We need you, Derek Carr. Lucas, what's up? 50th state of mind, Mooney, D-Hop, Jason, Robinson, or Debo. I mean, I'm starting Debo if he plays, for sure. If not, he certainly got some interesting options here. I'd probably go. Yeah, I feel like Robinson, Jason, D Hop are all very close, like safe floor plays, and then Mooney's more of an upside risky play. But I'm starting Debo if he's healthy. Pittman or Batman? Batman. I think Bateman's the floor, but Pittman's still very startable this week. It's just like, I mean, he gets the Texans. He had 9 fantasy points. I just go Pittman. Just give me Pittman. But I like Bateman a lot this week. Bateman has more upside, I think. Pittman's the floor. Safer play. Start A-Chain and White or A-Chain and Bigsby. A-Chain and White for me. I'm back on the White train that I was never off of. I'm sticking with Rachaad White. It's my boy. For flex, ask Lucas, Najee, Christian Kirk, JSN, Xavier Worthy. Could switch something out for Rachaad White. Nah, I'm sticking with Rachaad White, but you could easily flex Najee Harris here. I probably would consider flexing Najee Harris. Now, if you want some upside, like did you go up against Kyron Williams or Puka Nacua or Matthew Stafford? Then maybe throw Xavier Worthy in here. I feel like Xavier Worthy could have, he's due for a game where he pops, but he could also have like 5 points. So Evan Ingram or Jake Ferguson. I mean, when we're looking at tight ends of this caliber, it's neck and neck, super close. Whoever scores, whoever gets more volume for the week is going to have the better game. So it's super close. I wouldn't overthink it. I trust your gut here. Let's see. I wonder, where do the Packers come in? I can tell you. Don't worry. Sorry, my spreadsheet's freaking out. Okay, so Green Bay Packers are 23rd against the tight end position. San Fran is 15th. I might just go Ingram, but I still really like Ferguson this week. It's just super close. Start Pickens or Brian Thomas at the flex spot. Have Chase and Reed. Would you start Pickens and Brian Thomas Jr. instead of Reed? Nah, I would still start Reed against the Jags. You got to start Jamar Chase, and then I'll say this much: Pickens has the better matchup if that's what you want to go by. But the Giants are still 13th against the position, and actually, I take that back. Well, it's neck and neck. The Packers are 14th against the position, but they've been better since Jaire Alexander has returned. So super close here. I am sticking my position of just starting Brian Thomas Jr., but I like Pickens this week as well. I think Pickens is a very solid start, but yeah, I'm sticking with my boy Brian Thomas Jr. Done. Chef, what's up, bro? We got JD5, Goff, Brees, A-Chain, Tracy, Bucky, Cup, Puka, London, McLaurin, McMillan, McBride. Any suggestions? So let's see. We're starting Jaden Daniels if he's healthy. If not, we're gonna go Goff, Brees, and A-Chain. We got to roll with those two. Although you got some options there. Hopefully you start. I mean, that's the thing. Did you start Cup and Puka? Kind of hard to go off the rest here. You got to start McBride. But yeah, wide receivers could be up in there. I prefer to flex Terry McLaurin here. Got Tolbert and Juju too. I mean, squad looks pretty good overall. Barbara, Ferguson or Andrews. I think in general, if I own Mark Andrews, like I'm just starting Mark Andrews. He's moved up to the tight end 5? Yep, tight end 5. I mean, he had 2 goose eggs and he's a top 5 fantasy tight end. He has 15 and a half or more fantasy points in the last 2 games. Cleveland comes in. I mean, they're 5th against opposing tight ends on the season, so it's not a great matchup. I think I'm sticking with Mark Andrews if I own him, though. Everyone is saying play neighbors, but I have Brian Thomas Jr., London, and Tyreek. I mean, this is a good problem. PPR, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Which 3 do I start? Start Hill this week. Start Drake London. Yeah, that's so tough. I mean, all these guys are literally must start wide receivers on a weekly basis. So it's you can't really go wrong. I mean, if you want to break it down by matchup, let's see here. Pittsburgh is 10th against the position for neighbors. BTJ has got the Packers. They are 14th. So I'm going to say that Drake Lundo, who has the Bucks that are 25th against the position, and Tyreek Hill, who gets the Cardinals, who are 23rd against the position, are probably the two that you have to keep in your lineup due to the matchup. Then it really comes down to Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors, who both don't particularly have great matchups this week. But yeah, I mean, trust your gut here, but you can't go wrong. You have great options no matter what. If T. Higgins doesn't play, who should I flex instead? Pearsall, Tracy, Bucky, Wicks, or Ndunze? If you choose Bucky, can you give me more because he's questionable as well? Yeah, I mean, I would start Bucky Irving, but yeah, in terms of more, I mean, he's just been dealing with that foot injury or toe injury throughout the week. And I think he was dealing with it going into week 7 as well. So they're probably just trying to nurse it and keep him as healthy as possible. But he had 16.7 fantasy points last week. He missed some practices, but he was able to practice on Friday, which is a good sign if they get out there and practice on Friday. So he is expected to start. We're going to see some involvement out of Rachaad White. I'm not worried about Sean Tucker. He's still the RB3 here. We saw that this past week in a competitive game script. He only had 5 touches, 2 targets. Rachaad White had 10 touches, 6 targets, and then our boy Bucky Irving had 9 touches, 3 targets. But he got the goal line work and scored the touchdown. He has 3 touchdowns in his last 4 games. So, yeah, for me, it's Bucky Irving. And if he does not play for some reason, then I would risk it for the biscuit. And I'll throw Wicks in against the Jags. Cats, please nobody pick up Dalvin Cook. Yeah, I'm not there on Cook either, bro. Trade Shakir for Madison Dowdle or Chase Brown. I mean, I think this is a fair trade no matter what here. I think Khalil Shakir, just a very safe option on a weekly basis. Not a tremendous amount of upside, especially with Amari Cooper in this offense now, but he's a safe start. 10-ish, 12-ish points is what we should be able to expect. Although Keon Coleman, maybe a little bit breakout game this past week. Madison, bad start this week against the Chiefs, but overall, I like Madison. I like Dowdle. I like Chase Brown. These are all fair trades if you can go out and get any of these running backs, and this is probably the caliber running back you're looking at if you're going to trade Shakir. Kyler or Jaden Daniels? I mean, I'll go Jaden Daniels if he's healthy. It doesn't really matter what the scoring format is. If he's healthy, you just got to roll with him. You know, before the injury, he was the QB3 on the season. So you can't really go wrong, but Jaden Daniels is the right start. Nick, start one. Waddle, Devonta, or Dell? For me, I'd start Devonta Smith. I mean, that's my guy. I trust in Devonta Smith, so I just roll with him. But Dell is a good start this week. Waddle's a good start as well. Any of these guys could easily outscore each other. But yeah, I mean, I'm going with Devonta Smith no matter what. And we should get a good competitive game script there. But yeah, I mean, you got 3 really good starts, Nick. So try not to overthink it and trust your gut, man. Brian, what's going on? Byron, start 4. Monty, Dowdle, Waddle, Debo, Smitty, Higgins, and 1 in the flex. Start 4 and then 1 in the flex. So 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. Or just 4 overall. Let's say it's 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. So you got to go Monty and Dowdle, right? So it comes down to the wide receivers. Higgins got to play. I start Debo if he's healthy. And I'll go Smitty. But maybe Debo doesn't play or Higgins doesn't play, then you just go Waddle. Brian says one running back. I'm starting Monty. Yeah, I know Monty's coming out the bad game. I know the Titans certainly aren't bad against the running back position. They come in 13th against it, but I'm starting Monty. Yeah, I do like Dowdle, but give me Monty, Debo, Smitty, Higgins. Saquon's your RB1, then that is a good thing. But yeah, I mean, once again, very close here. Any of these guys could outscore each other. World of Use. Pollard at Detroit or Brian Thomas Jr. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. in PPR. Olave or Tank? I'll go Tank. I'm not starting Olave this week. Tomas, what's up? Thoughts on benching Mar for one of these options? Bigsby, Rico, Pearsall, or McMillan? Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. been tough to trust, to say the least. 5.6 or less fantasy points in his last 3 games. 10.7 combined in his last 3 games. Just 5 catches in his last 3 games. Miami is giving up the fewest fantasy points to the wide receiver position. Miami, quietly, the best passing defense in the entire NFL. And not just by like a small margin, by a lot. Miami is seriously a team that if Tua comes back and stays healthy, which, by the way, Tua can stay healthy. We've seen this happen with other players in the past. Devontae Adams, a good example. I think DeAndre Hopkins as well. We've seen other players get through these concussion spells fine. But yeah, Miami is a team that if this offense can get back together here, which they have the players to do so. This defense is bad against the run, but they're good enough against the pass. Miami could make a little bit of a run here. We shall see. It's a long season. Anyways, I'd probably go Bigsby as long as ETN is out. But if not, then I just go Rico Dowdle. I'll take the running backs here. But McMillan is the upside play if you want it, but risky. Thomas, stash McMillan or Tillman? I'll stash McMillan for now. Yeah. Still tied to the better offense. Andrea, Mark Andrews or Tucker Kraft? Now, this one's tough because I just said a couple minutes ago that I'm starting Andrews no matter what. But Tucker Kraft in this matchup against the Jags, I'll go Tucker Kraft. This Jaguars defense just cannot stop the tight end position to save their lives. They're 27th against the position, but they've been getting torched in the past 2 weeks. Cole Kmet, 2 touchdowns against them. Hunter Henry, 7 catches last week or whatever. Rich Gannon, my boy, what's up? Who'd you rather start this week at QB between Caleb Williams and Joe Burrow? I'm sticking with Joe Burrow. He's the QB4 in fantasy off the top of my head. The Eagles defense been playing okay, but they're 10th against opposing quarterbacks. They're not bad. But yeah, I'll go Burrow. If I were to trade Henry, would you trade him for A-Chain, Chubb, and one of Downs, Worthy, or J-Mo? Other running backs are Mixon, Mostert, Warren. Other wide receivers are Tyreek, CD, Diggs, Reed, Ladd, and Jennings. No. Just no. This is like trading a $100 bill for a $5 bill, a $5 bill, and a $2 bill. No. Dobbins or Kamara this week? Are we benching Kamara this week? I think we might be. I'm going Dobbins. Dobbins will have a big bounce back game this week. It's a smash matchup. I find it hard to bench Dobbins this week. I think he's a super strong start. I'll go. This Saints run defense is trending towards being the worst run defense in the NFL, maybe outside of the Panthers. I'm going to go Dobbins. That's the second time I benched Kamara tonight. Risky, but probably worth it. Cats, who do I start between Geno, T-Law, Bo Nix this week? You're the GOAT, Cats, not me. I'm probably going to start Geno. It's like the most boring play here, but I feel like it's the safest. The Bills have given up the 8th fewest fantasy points to the position. So if you want some upside, you could go Bo Nix, as the Panthers are giving up the 29th most fantasy points, and they're awful against the run. I feel like he's going to be able to get a little shifty out there. T-Law doesn't really have a good matchup. The Packers 6 against quarterbacks. So Geno for a floor, Bo Nix for upside. We'll leave it at that. Orac, we got Warren, Chase Brown, or Davis. Chase Brown. Chase Brown. Chase Brown for sure. Pearson, Tank or Pollard. I'll go Tank in full PPR for sure. Leo, do I trade Neighbors for Hill? I mean, Neighbors first game back, 8 targets, 4 receptions, 41 receiving yards. In a great matchup against Philly, but the whole offense just struggled. Robinson had 9 targets, 6 catches. And Darius Slayton, 1 catch off of 3 targets. So it's not a great matchup against Pittsburgh. I don't know. He gets Washington, Carolina the next 2 weeks. He's got a great playoff schedule with the Ravens, the Falcons, and the Colts. But Tyreek Hill could bounce back here and just be that guy, and he's kind of matchup proof as long as he has a competent quarterback. So it really comes down to personal preference. Last poll ended with Tua as the starter against Arizona out of Tua, Caleb Williams, and Baker. I want a new poll. So, Leo, we're running a poll for you. Who would you rather have rest of season? Hit the like, guys. Do it. We're going to ask Malik Neighbors or Tyreek Hill. All right. It's super close, man. I think I still lean Neighbors, but the upside certainly leans with Tyreek Hill. Thoughts on Rachaad White? I mean, I still like Rachaad White. He's not going to do what he did last week every single week, but I have been saying for a few weeks now, and I should have. Okay, the issue with last week was I would have harped on this more last week, and I harped on it early in the week, and I harped on it the week before. But then, like, Rachaad White was a true game time decision. He played Monday night, so it was like tough. And yeah, he's not going to catch 2 touchdown passes and get those garbage time points every single week, but I like Rachaad White a lot this week. And I think the nice thing with Rachaad White, like, it was a bad matchup against the Ravens, right? But he just gets involved in the passing game, and that's what makes him valuable. I mean, he had the most targets and receptions of any running back on the team last week. I still like Rachaad White. Trey McBride or David Njoku? I mean, I'm probably always starting Trey McBride. But David Njoku's got a smash matchup. I mean, the Ravens have really struggled against the tight end position. And they just have not been a good secondary in general. So, McBride, on the other hand, yeah, Miami's second against the position. That pass defense is for real. So, give me the matchup. Let's go David Njoku, but McBride's probably okay. Chef, Wimpuka, and Cup. Let's go. Chuba or Tank Bigsby? Ooh. Do we have any indication on ETN right now? He's still questionable. If he's out, then I'll go Bigsby. I might go Bigsby either way. I mean, Green Bay has not been bad against the run. They're 18th. I'll go Bigsby. I'm really not in on Chuba Hubbard this week. Bryce Young's playing. It's a bad matchup. There's just nothing here to like. They're on the road. This team looks like they're in complete turmoil. Excuse me. I'm going to go Bigsby. Chase Brown or Ramondre Stevenson? I'll go Chase Brown. Yeah, I know Chase Brown had the down game last week, but in a good competitive matchup here, I'm just sticking with Chase Brown. He's been the better running back between him and Zach Moss, so I'll stick with him pretty easily too. Andrews or Njoku also sat TJ Hawkinson. Yeah, I want to say, and Hawk didn't play this week. I want to say Andrews, but I feel like Njoku's matchup's just way too good to ignore. Andrews for a floor and Njoku for upside. Stevenson or Jalen Warren? I'm not ready to start Jalen Warren yet. I'll go Stevenson. Is Rondell plus Kirk for DJ Moore? Yeah, it's a great trade, Tingley. Get DJ Moore for sure. If you're getting the DJ Moore side, it's a good trade. If not, then no, don't trade DJ Moore for these two. Kincaid or Otten? Give me Otten. Let's go Otten. But I like Kincaid still. Franklin or Worthy? Franklin for a floor, Worthy for much more risk, but upside. If Higgins is out, would you flex Yoshi over Pittman? No. But I do like Yoshi. I was going to put Yoshi in the last minute waiver video for this reason, but I still go Pittman. I mean, we're still looking at wide receiver 1 volume versus wide receiver 2 volume. So, Shine. John, what's up? Who should I start in flex? Chase Brown, Chuba, Marvin Harrison, or Xavier Worthy? I mean, I prefer Chase Brown. I feel like he's just a nice, safe play. But it is a tough matchup. I mean, this Eagles run defense has been good for those of you guys considering Chase Brown. So, I mean, we could bear that in mind. But yeah, it's like I don't really trust Marvin Harrison Jr. right now. Chuba Hubbard, we've already gone over. I'm not really crazy about Chuba Hubbard this week. I don't really prefer starting him. Xavier Worthy is always startable there, but it's like the upside's there, but the risk is also there. So I'll go Chase Brown. Connor, Monty in the flex. You got Henry and A-Chain starting. Connor's got the matchup, but Monty's been the better overall running back on the season. Although last week may have changed that. Connor's the RB12. Monty's the RB11. Close. I mean, Connor's got the better matchup. It's just really tough to bench Monty. So if you want the matchup, go Connor. Monty's been that guy, though. Just got an update. There's a real chance Higgins misses Sunday. True game time decision. We'll have to wait and see. Is Ramondre or Raheem Mostert? Ramondre for me. Yeah. Still going Ramondre. Not a great matchup, but I think he gets better volume than Mostert. What's up? My starting lineup this week is Mahomes, Reek, Malik, A-Chain, Chuba, Muth. My 2 flexes are Wilson and Waddle. Defense is the Chargers. Kicker is Aubrey. I'm 7-0. I mean, if you're 7-0, you should be telling me what to do. But Hill, Malik, A-Chain, Chuba, Freiermuth, Wilson, and Waddle. I mean, yeah, everything looks fine here. I prefer to not start Patrick Mahomes if you can, though. But everything else looks fine to me. Love the Chargers defense this week. Ravens defense, Mark Andrews, Darnell Mooney, and Mostert. For Lions defense and James Cook. The most valuable player here is James Cook. So if you want to get James Cook, sure. Ravens defense is good this week because they're playing the Browns, but I don't trust them. And they could even slip this week. That's how bad that secondary is. So you get a weekly play in the Lions defense against the Titans, and James Cook's the best player here. So if you want to do it, sure, Oz. Jacob, would you trade Mooney and Schultz for Laporta, Kirk, and a Dunze in a 14-team league, half PPR at 5-2? If you want the theoretical tight end upgrade, sure, but Laporta has just not been good. I mean, he might be a little bit better these next 2 weeks with JMO out, but he has just not been good. I mean, he's not getting targeted. He has more than 3 targets in 2 games on the season. 2 targets or less in 3 out of the last 4 games. I depends on the rest of the team. Should I do Mooney and Schultz for Laporta and Deontay Johnson? I still prefer Mooney over Deontay. Maybe Deontay Johnson gets traded, but we haven't really gotten any super indication on that. I guess I still prefer Laporta over Schultz because he's tied to the better offense. I mean, I don't really prefer either trade here. I guess the Laporta Kirk Dunze trade I like better. I'll say that much, but do you really feel like this is making a drastic difference to your roster? I mean, I guess it's okay. But when are you ever really going to be able to trust Kirk or Roma Dunze? You can't really trust Mooney either. I don't know. Both trades are fine, but I think I like the Laporta Kirk and a Dunze trade better. But how much does it really impact your roster? Kells, Troy Franklin, Ferguson, Alec Pierce, Bob Douglas. Yeah, I don't prefer to flex a tight end, although Jake Ferguson is probably like the safest play here. So give me Troy Franklin against the Broncos. I think Bob Douglas will be okay, but I don't prefer to start him this week against the Jets. But Troy Franklin better have a good game because he's my sleeper of the week, apparently. William, beat Tom or Malik Neighbors. I'm going beat Tom. But Neighbors is fine if you like him more. Space Ghost. Pick 3. We got Diggs, Reed, Cooper, Wilson, and Devonta Smith. Let's go Diggs. Let's go Reed. Let's go Devonta Smith. But you can't really go wrong here. Warren, Tracy, or Dowdle need 1.5 PPR, says William. Give me Dowdle. Should see the best volume here. So Dowdle for sure. D-Wade, pick 2 for flex. Brian Robinson, Mooney, or B. Tom. I'll bench Mooney here. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. and Brian Robinson Jr. Otten or Kraft? Otten's a floor, but I'm going to take that upside with Kraft. I'm going to take Kraft against the Jags this week. Every time. I mean, I know Kraft without the touchdowns hasn't been much, and like Otten doesn't necessarily need the touchdowns to give you a good, stat line. But Kraft against the Jaguars, this defense just cannot stop the tight end position. So just give me Kraft here. He's a must-start player for me this week. Let's see. Flex, MH Jr., JT, or Josh Jacobs. I'm probably going to start Josh Jacobs against the Jaguars because it is just way too good of a matchup to ignore once again. I mean, we are trying to start skill position players against this Jaguars unit for sure. So I do think Jonathan Taylor, of course, is always a good play. And Jonathan Taylor going to play this week, but give me Josh Jacobs. Jacobs so safe and such a good matchup. Give me Jacobs. Space Ghost. We need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. A-Chain, Mason, Bigsby, Eckler, Lamb, Diggs, London, Keenan Allen. Give me A-Chain against the Cardinals. Give me Mason against the Cowboys. Give me Lamb. Can't bench him. Give me Diggs. Give me London. Yeah, come on. We got great options here. A-Chain, Mason, Lamb, Diggs, Lundo. Call it a day. Komet or McBride. I mean, you can't really go wrong either way here. Komet's got the better. But I feel like Washington's still been pretty good. They're 14th against the position. Miami's been very good against opposing tight ends, though. Can't go wrong, though. Both are great starts. Kyler or Caleb Williams. Give me Kyler for the upside, but Caleb's a strong start this week. Dom, should I start Goff even though Jaden Daniels might play? No, if Jaden Daniels plays, start Jaden Daniels. But Goff is fine in replacement of Jaden Daniels. Olave on the trade block in my league. Should I make an attempt for him or upgrade to someone else? We got DJ Moore, Debo, B. Tom, Terry, McLaurin, and Jennings. I don't know. I mean, I think you're pretty set at wide receiver with DJ Moore, Debo, Brian Thomas Jr., and Terry. So I don't know that Olave is necessary. But if you feel like you can get a good offer out, then sure. Kevin, we got Henry or Ferguson. Give me Ferguson in a better game script as opposed to Henry against the Jets. But Henry's definitely still startable. Mateo, pick one for wide receiver 2 and one for flex. Waddle, Ridley, Myers, Downs, Pearsall, Dunze, or Ramondre. I'll go ahead and say I prefer the Chiefs defense over the Niners, but I will start Waddle as your wide receiver 2. And the flex, I don't prefer Ridley or Myers. I don't prefer Downs or I'll go Ramondre in the flex, but if you like somebody more, then go for it, you know. But a lot of bad matchups there. Jacob, you got Mahomes, Henry Jones, AJ Brown, McLaurin, Waddle, Schultz, Stafford, Bigsby, Justice Hill, Mostert, Mooney, McMillan, Hawkinson. Pretty good for a 14-team league. This was the 14-team league, right? Laporta, Kirk, Dunze, or Deontay Johnson has an impact. Yeah, I mean, for what you're giving up, I think this trade's okay. I think that you can either way, you can do this trade. I think getting Laporta, Kirk, and Dunze is the more valuable trade for you. But yeah, your roster is not bad at all. So if you want to do that trade, that's fine. Gives you a little bit more depth. And at least, like, I don't like Schultz is certainly not any worse than Laporta, you know? So he at least has some more upside, potentially. Starting Stevenson, Gibbs, Chase, AJ Brown, and Njoku, flex Mooney, Mostert, Andrews, or McMillan. I mean, I would just start Mooney. I just start Mooney. But if you want to go McMillan, he's got a good matchup. Coast Hunter, would you trade? Excuse me. Caleb and Reed for T-Law, Chase Brown, and Laporta? No. I keep Jaden Reed and Caleb here. Bo Nix or Geno Smith and half PPR? Geno for a floor, Bo Nix for upside. Someone sent me an offer. Trade away Cup for Olave and Sean Tucker? No. Want to counter for Olave and Brooks? No. Keep Cup. Keep Cup. Both ways. Keep Cup. Oh, wait. You're getting Cup? If you're getting Cup, do the trade either way. I think I'd rather keep Brooks than Tucker, but I'm still okay with sending that for Cup. If you're getting Cup, then yes. If you're trading away Cup, no. Kevin, if I play Kyler for the upside and going up against the best team this week, should I stack him with MH Jr. or go JT needing upside? I go JT. Yeah. This Miami pass defense is for real. I'm worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. I mean, of course, he's a skilled enough player that he can always score. Like, he could see enough volume, sure, but like it just hasn't been there past few weeks. And this Miami pass defense is the best in the NFL right now. So yeah, I just stay away. I'll go JT. Now, JT doesn't have the best matchup in the world either, going up against Houston this week, but they're not giving up a ton of fantasy points to the running back position. They come in 5th against the position, but they have given up a decent amount of total rushing yards. So I don't know that JT is necessarily a super high ceiling play, but I still go JT. Tommy, fun fact, the Jets defense plays the most cover 1 defense and the 6th most cover 4 defense. That's where Pop thrives. I did read something similar to this. 40% target share with Drake May, put up 17 points week 3 versus the Jets. Maybe we're rolling Poppy Douglas out there. Yeah, he doesn't really line up as a wide receiver 1, even though that he acts like one, right? But let's see, because isn't Jalen Polk hurt? Yeah, he's not playing. So you got KJ Osborne and Kayshon Boutte out there. Kayshon Booty. We'll see. But yeah, maybe it is a good week for Pop. Kells, Jason Worthy, Troy Franklin, Sterling Shepard, Christian Kirk start 2. I probably will roll JSN with no DK Metcalf. I don't think he has a crazy amount of upside, but I think he's a good floor play. No, it's not a great matchup against the Bills, but should be a good game script at least. I'll go Troy Franklin. Give me Troy Franklin against the Panthers, but understand that there's still risk with him. If you want to go Xavier Worthy, that's okay too. What are your thoughts on Hunt and Pacheco when he comes back? I have both and unsure to move them. Any running backs that could realistically upgrade to by trading both? Yeah, I mean, I think you could easily upgrade if you traded both, but I wouldn't trade both. I mean, when Pacheco's back, I think Hunt will be fine. It'll be tough to start both of them on a weekly basis. And I still think Hunt will take a bit of a backseat to Isaiah Pacheco. I think it'll be tough for Isaiah Pacheco to not come in here and be the RB1, but they're also going to want to keep Isaiah Pacheco healthy, so we'll probably get involvement out of Kareem Hunt. But yeah, I think you have, like, the Chiefs want to run the football. Like, you have 2 absolute stud running backs here. So yeah, you could definitely get, I mean, the way Kareem Hunt's been playing, and with what we know what Pacheco is, you can go out and get a stud running back for these 2, but I'd rather hold them both. But yeah, if you're worried about what it looks like when Pacheco's back, I mean, go play the trade market. You should be able to get a solid running back for both these guys. Za, what's up? Pick 2, Superflex, full PPR, Kyler, Cousins, Caleb, and pick 1, tight end, no premium, Ferguson or Pitts. I like Caleb Williams this week, but if you want the upside, go Kyler Murray, but just understand it's not a good matchup. I don't feel great about Kyler or about Kirk. I know what happened the last time the Falcons and Bucks played, but I just don't quite know that we're going to get that this week. I think Caleb's the safest play here. I was a little worried about Kyler last week in a bad matchup, and he showed up, but Tony, this Miami pass defense is nothing to sneeze at. Pick 1 tight end, no premium. Pitts has the better matchup, so I'll go Pitts. Shakir or Pop Douglas rest of the season, who has more upside? I think Pop Douglas has more upside, but certainly more risk. Shakir is definitely the floor play here. I kind of like sometimes take the boring play. Like, at least you know you're going to get 10-ish points out of Pop or out of Shakir, but Pop definitely has more upside. But as we saw last week, some risk too. Football prods with Will Levis as the pick. Hunter Henry, Kyle Pitts, or Tucker Kraft. I mean, you can't really go wrong here. They're all great options, but I'll go Tucker Kraft against the Jags. If I have Tucker Kraft this week, I'm risking it. I'm starting him. If he has a bad game, then I'll accept it because he could have a fantastic game against the Jags, who are just getting torched by tight ends. Demario Douglas or Ricky Pearsall. I'll give me Pop Douglas here. Would you say Jacobs has more upside than JT this week due to the matchup? Yes. Going up against the Jags versus going up against the Texans? Yeah, for sure. Thoughts on Zay Flowers, or should I stay away from him this week? I think if Zay Flowers plays, he's definitely startable against this Browns secondary, giving up the 28th most fantasy points to the position so far on the season. Like, they have really struggled. So, yeah, I still think Flowers is startable, but there's also a scenario where, he's kind of in that like decoy type of role like we saw last week, where he was on the field, but he wasn't actually fully healthy. So there's a little bit of risk this week with Zay Flowers, but I still think just due to the matchup, he's definitely startable. DeMar Douglas, Pearsall, Hunter Henry, Kyle Pitts, or Tucker Kraft for my flex. Well, I still prefer to flex a wide receiver, so it's probably Demario Douglas. But if you want to flex a tight end here, it's Tucker Kraft. Yeah, we're starting to get more poor reports around T. Higgins tomorrow. So to pay attention. Who should I flex? Olave, Andrews, Mostert, Tillman? I think I'd probably flex Andrews. Tight ends are kind of back right now. I think I'll go Andrews. I'm not messing around with T this week. I'm just slotting in Keenan. I mean, that's fair too. We should know before kickoff tomorrow, though. It's a 1:00 game, so we'll know is the good thing. All right, I feel like we already got this one. Full PPR, pick 2 running backs of flex. A-Chain, Mason, Pollard, Chuba, Dell, or Rashad White. A-Chain and Mason. And I'll flex take Dell, but if you want to go Rashad White, that's fine too. Like, if you're upset with the goose egg last week from Dell, that's fine. You could go Rashad White here. Will Ladd McConkey ever get it going? I mean, maybe. And this offense, that's what I worry about. I think he certainly is capable. I mean, in games where he scored touchdowns this year, 2 games, he has 14 or more fantasy points. But yeah, it's a run first, play defense offense. Like, they had their best passing game of the season last week. Justin Herbert threw for 349 passing yards. That's 112 more passing yards than his next highest game, if I did that math correct. And Ladd McConkey had 9.6 fantasy points and 5 catches for 46 receiving yards. So I wouldn't bank on it. He's a good wide receiver, but is he going to be a good fantasy wide receiver? I don't know. All right, so football prods, we got Douglas, Pearsall, Pitts, Henry for your flex spot. Let's go Pop Douglas. Start Tucker Kraft at tight end. Start Pop Douglas. I'm in church when kickoff happens. I don't have that luxury. Fair enough. All right, guys, we made it to the bottom of the chat. Thank you guys for the fantasy questions tonight. I'll hang out for a couple more minutes here, see what happens. If you guys need anything, make sure to get it in. I'll, of course, have a video going live first thing in the morning, early in the morning. I usually do 10 things you need to know. I think this week I'm going to do 5 things you need to know. But you guys can, of course, drop a comment on any of the YouTube videos from this week. And I usually make sure all questions are answered before kickoff. So, Who's your favorite team to root for outside of or outside of fantasy? The Commanders, Washington. So grew up in the close to the DC area. So Commanders. Need to get me a Jaden Daniels jersey. I'm gonna get one at the end of the season. Ooh. Trade Ladd for Dowdle. Yeah, if you feel like you need the running back help, for sure. Go for it. Chicago or the Chargers? I'm starting the Chargers defense against Spencer Rattler. For sure. And I'm only starting Chicago if Jaden Daniels does not play. I think they could be okay if he plays, but yeah. The upside's only there if Mariota plays. Kraft or Kelsey? I'm going Kraft. I mean, once again, if Tucker Kraft has a bad week, then I'll just accept it. But the upside is way too high in this matchup against Jacksonville that I'm not risking not having him in my starting lineup. Hit the like button or your quad will be taken and given to T. Higgins. Uh-oh. That sounds intense. All right, guys. So we'll have a video dropping in the morning. And you guys can, of course, drop comments on that if you need anything last minute. I may or may not be live in the morning. Just depends on how I feel when I wake up. And we'll go from there. So got to the bottom of the chat. So that just about does it. So like I said earlier, if you guys need anything, you can drop a comment on any of the videos from this past week. And I'll get back to you before Sunday rolls through. What tier player should I try to trade Hopkins for? Don't trade him yet. Wait till he has a big game with the Chiefs because everyone's going to give him a pass this week, even if he doesn't play well. If he does play well, then that helps you. But wait till he has a good game. Don't trade him yet. Looking to trade up from Andrews. Do you like Njoku, Ingram, or Ferguson, or Otten? I mean, these guys are all neck and neck. All neck and neck. Andrews is the highest scoring tight end out of this bunch on the season. So it's super close between these guys. I would honestly keep Andrews. He's still tied to the best offense out of this bunch. But it's super close. You can't really go wrong, but I probably prefer Andrews, Ingram, Ferguson, Otten, and Njoku, but it's so close. Chase Brown or Dowdle rest of the season? Dowdle for a floor, Chase Brown for upside. So probably Chase Brown. We appreciate that, Ghost Hunter. Yeah, it's easy to remember. Easier to remember those two goose eggs, Tingley, when it comes to Andrews, but he's moved up. I mean, also tight end play has not been good, so it hasn't been that hard to reach the tight end 5 spot. But yeah, I mean, he's been great, and I get it. Like overall, it doesn't feel like he's been there, but he's moved up after these past two or three games. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just so close between all those tight ends. You know, these guys could all fluctuate within the top 10 over the next couple of weeks, and who knows? But yeah, I still think he's tied to the best offense, so I would keep him. But if you want to move him for one of those guys, it's probably okay too. Kevin, I just got my cousin's jersey. Nice. I'm in the Atlanta area. So happy we finally got a quarterback. Let's go. You got 2 quarterbacks. Don't forget. Got a rookie quarterback there too. All right, guys. So make sure you guys hit the like button. Check out all the content for the week. Like I said, I may or may not be on in the morning, but we'll at least have a video dropping for you guys in the morning. So make sure you guys check that out. Check out all the content for the week as well. And that should do it for the night. So thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Thank you guys for all the fantasy questions. Appreciate you. Debo, JSN, D-Hop, Wandle, Bateman, start 2. I'm starting Debo, excuse me, if he's healthy. I'll go Debo, and let's just go JSN and a good game script. If Debo doesn't play, D-Hop for a floor, Bateman for upside. But Robinson is certainly startable. Would like a CD jersey. He's not going to a different team. All right, you guys are welcome. Everyone have a great Saturday and a great weekend. If I don't talk to you guys tomorrow, good luck. Hope everyone brings home a dub tomorrow. And once again, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for the fantasy questions tonight. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch. And peace.